Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. We're at the Arizona property development location. Got the manufactured home in. You can see that in part one of this huge series, multi-series, multi-years of work going on in this particular location from the looks of things. But this is kind of the first steps. Getting something that you can actually live in. Getting water, power, electric, getting a home in. Now it's all the exterior stuff. And this is going to be the walkway that wraps around the entire manufactured home. That's vinyl skirting you see on the left. This is pour day. We got concrete early in the morning, about 4 a.m. Couldn't get concrete during daylight hours because they're so slammed out here with work. You know, it's a 6-week waiting list. So we went ahead and did a night pour. See the lights I strung along the front of the house. I've got a light standard on their left there. And then I've got two trucks with their headlights on shooting down on this. We lit it up really nicely. Almost as good as daytime. And this particular mix is, they call it a three-quarter rock blend. Which is, it's big rock. It's a three-quarter rock. And then it's also mixed with some 3/8 minus. So you get a little bit of both in there. And it's a 3,000 psi, so it's a 6.5 sack. Well, actually, this is probably a 6 sack because you're using the big rock. You can get away with less cement with bigger rock, get a higher psi. It's also a little bit better for crack resistance because of all the big rock in there versus your pea gravel mixes. So if you can do it, it's always better to use a big rock. If you're concerned with cracking, big rock is always better because rocks don't really crack as easily as just, you know, your cement and your mortars that bind everything together. This particular truck we're using is Joseph, general manager at S&S Materials in Bullhead. He actually jumped into a rig. I made the order, and he recognized my name when I gave him the name and address and stuff. He goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, I've been watching you, this and that." And he said, "You know, do you mind if I come out?" And I said, "Yeah, come out anytime you want. That's fine by me." And he ended up jumping in a concrete truck. Came out to the job site. It was really cool. So I gave him a bunch of little knickknacks, you know, shirts, gloves, hats, all the stuff I have in my storefront. And so he was driving the truck, and you know, he did a really good job on it, because the reason I know that is because I had other trucks come after this truck that he drove. It was totally different. But these front discharge trucks means there's no chute man. It eliminates a guy trying to operate the chute because the driver operates everything. It's just really sweet and simple. I mean, I don't even know why they have any other trucks on the road. And not only do they do everything and they eliminate a guy working the chute, but they're also all-wheel drive, 6-wheel drive versus your basic 4-wheel drive. Look at all the tires on that truck. They all have power to them. They never get stuck anywhere. Anywhere you take them, they just go, go, go. This thing's a massive, beautiful unit. Matter of fact, I think, you know, if I ever pour again out here, I'm just going to request this type of truck every time. I don't see any purpose of the other one. And you'll see the struggle in the next video with a rear load discharge in this soil terrain and stuff, getting stuck and bouncing around, chutes flipping up and down and stuff like that. You never want to get your hand stuck between the chutes when they start bouncing either. That could be really, really painful. So as we laid this down, we didn't even need a jitterbug because it is a blend, like I was saying earlier, 3/4 rock and the 3/8 mixed. So you can get away without using the tamp. When you go the straight 1-inch minus, you're right on the edge, you know, especially at a 4-inch. You're gonna have to jitterbug that thing down, tamp it, roller tamp it. You're gonna have to do something. Maybe just hit it with some topical, you know, water, and then bowl float. That works as well. Matter of fact, that's what we did here. Before we bowl floated after the rod, we sprayed it with a very light mist. But it's crucial you don't put too much, and you got to be really consistent with how you spray, because if you're not, what happens, because this is color concrete, it's integral color concrete. Now, if you get more water in some areas and less in some other, you're going to have a totally different color concrete when it cures out. So there's so many things to think about. You can't even really explain it all in one setting. Just multiple settings you're gonna take in to learn all these things. Here we have the funny float. We're gonna also be stamping this job out. We're gonna do a seamless texture Belgium slate. The reason I use that one is because I bought those actual mats, because that's my favorite, you know, just a seamless texture. It's kind of a medium between an old granite and maybe like an Italian slate. It's in between those two. So the old granite gets really deep veins, holds a lot of dirt. And then the Italian slate is barely visible. So right in the mid-range there, which is the Belgium, is what I use. You get a little bit of both going on. And we're just going to saw cut this. The reason I like the saw cut, for one reason, this is my own particular vacation property, and I could do it however I want to do it. And I like to keep it sweet and simple, because you know what that means? Less maintenance. Sweet and simple means less maintenance, more function, it's going to function better. So I'm going to go saw cut, because I'm not going to get a lot of dirt setting in big joints. I'm not going to get a lot of water and dirt and staining around the joints. It's going to be really clean, simple, low maintenance. Now on the walkway here, because we have such a short run, we're just going to hand tool those joints in. This is not your major thoroughfare where you're going to get a lot of you know, parties or gatherings. They're not going to really congregate in this particular area because it's a walkway. So most of your action is probably going to be happening at the front of the house in the larger area, because that's where I'm going to end up doing the patio cover with the lighting, you know, the whole works. Back here, as you come down these steps, we're going to go with a deck going out over this embankment, and then it's going to have a sunken jacuzzi in it, so it'll be a walk-in because we have a hillside we're working with. So no digging involved. I'll pour a lower pad down lower at the lower level, set the jacuzzi on that, build the deck around it, walk right on in. On this stamping right here, we're using just a liquid release here, and it's just a clear liquid release. We're using that in the front as well. And like I was saying earlier, I could do this two-tone if I wanted to, but in a lot of cases when you start getting a little tricky with different colors, topical colors, they wear off, especially when you're getting these environments where it's pretty, you know, rough. You got a lot of UV, which really just takes the color right out of concrete in most cases. It just bleaches it white, and any kind of topical color will dissipate in these kind of environments. So we're going to go integral color, no topical, with a heavy sealer. And this color on the inside the concrete lasts a lifetime. So as we go down with the stamps, we're just spraying it as we go. If you spray it ahead of you, then a lot of that will evaporate before you get your mat moved. So you just spray 1 or 2 mats at a time and move them. So we did 2 loads here, and I poured everything 6 inches deep. I think 6 inches is better than 4, at least, you know, that's what I've been told. And that's, you know, the thickness of it, not really the width. But you can see that Belgian slate, how nicely that texture looks. It's not too deep, it's just kind of a modest, nice stone texture on there. And as you see it there, will inevitably how it looks when I get the sealer on it. So this is the next morning, and I'm getting ready to saw cut this. And you know, concrete dries really quickly out in these environments where you have like maybe you got about 10% humidity out here. Typically, this time of right now we're running about 90 degrees outside. But I've done these jobs in these environments where it's low humidity and pretty hot. I've did 2-tone stamped, washed, and sealed in a single day. It can be done in these kind of environments. But we're going to wait a couple days on this one just because, you know, I have the time. So that's the first time I used the Medusa saw on a textured surface, and it worked just as well as if it was a flat surface. Everything come out perfectly, beautifully straight. This is the morning after the pour, and we have concrete arriving here in about an hour. So, oh, we got rain also. So you can see it's starting to rain now, which is really ideal because now it's getting water cured, and I'm not using any of my water. It's just natural rainfall, so it's curing the concrete out for me. And we have concrete arriving. From what I understood, a lot of the cancellations took place, so I was able to get concrete without having to do a night pour on my second load because everybody canceled. And I said, you know, from the looks of things around here, it doesn't rain much, so I'm going to take a chance. And from my experience, when it does rain in these kind of typical environments, it rains hard, fast for a short period of time, and the water evaporates within a couple hours after it stops raining. Everything's completely dry. No mud. You're just back in business like nothing ever happened. Here we are. Looking beautiful. Water drains nicely. We got some nice cuts in there. They're only at about 8-foot spacing. 6-inch deep, big rock, integral color. This is all still the first pour. The first 2 truckloads got me around the corner. Didn't get me the staircase yet. In my next video, I'm going to show the staircase pour because that's a little more intricate, and I wanted to get more in depth on that particular process. And I really wanted to talk about that front end discharge concrete truck versus the rear end discharge, and show the difference, how it functions in these terrains out here. But whenever you can lose a guy, I mean, the guy that's operating the truck is operating the chute, and you can save that man right there, the concrete is worth more money. Here's the sealer we're using right now, and I got this locally. You know why I got it locally? Because I live in California, of course. This is Arizona where I'm doing this project, but this particular sealer is not real concerned about VOC, so it's really thick, and I can dilute it. So this 5-gallon pail was $125. Now if I got a low VOC Cali, that's $250, and you can't really cut it because it's pretty well diluted already. And I was able to cut this stuff in half with acetone, and it's still thicker. So I just bought it locally, basically. I'm going to run 2 coats on here. When you're out in this type of environment, you can see how dry and how that concrete really sucking up the sealer. This is going to require 2 coats. If you can see, if you kind of know what you're looking at, you can tell that this concrete needs 2 coats because it's really drawing in this sealer. It wants it. So it's a 2-timer. That's our cold joint right there on the left off the corner of the house right there. I went with the metal drum on this one. I've had this metal pump up sprayer for a couple of years. It's never worked that well for me. I thought I'd give it another go, see if I can get it to work. And it worked beautifully for this, actually. I was real impressed with it. I put a fan tip on here, fan tip sprayer. I think it had a cone before, and that's why I didn't like it. I got a nice fan tip, and it's spraying it really nice. You know, even with the second, I used 5 gallons, and I used, how many, 2 gallons of acetone. I went 5 gallons of the sealer to 2 gallons of acetone cut. I sprayed all of it twice, and I hit the whole sides of the concrete too. So that's kind of the first process, what we're getting to here. Now inevitably what I'm going to do in another video is build a patio cover off the front of that house there. And I might do like one end of the patio cover open or semi-open for a barbecue area. We have the fiberglass reinforcement in there. We have the fiberglass mesh mixed in the concrete. We also have the fiberglass rods, 3/8 on 2-foot centers all the way through. 6-inch deep concrete, 3,000 psi with the integral color from Davis. Here's a view from the house. We just took the drone out the front door and just headed it west. And as we went west towards the river, which is about a mile, we got about a half mile out, and this is what we found. Nice petroglyph right here. Nobody knows how old this is, but there's a huge cliff off the edge of where this petroglyph was created. And initially, before all the dams, like Hoover Dam, Davis Dam, all the dams upstream of the Colorado River, before they were there, this was all like lake, swampland. So you can see that hillside going down. This, I think, probably was like the campsite because they had a deep area for fishing here, I would say. So they kind of had a lot of extra time on their hands, and they said, well, why don't we separate all the rocks, all the brown rocks from the white rocks from the black rocks. And that's what they did. They separated all the color rocks and then put all the color rocks and made a drawing in the dirt. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.